Hello and welcome to the Content as Unusual show. Those new to the channel will understand that I'm not Luke Quilter and this is not the Business as Unusual show. My name is Danny. I am head of brand and marketing here at Sleeping Giant Media, and I've hijacked our Business as Unusual airwaves today to deliver a one-off, possibly, Content as Unusual. So we're going to be talking to Chris Branch, a content maker of LinkedIn content, and we're going to be discussing all things content. So without further ado, you have also, just a real quick note, I can never replace Luke Quilter doing this stuff. As I was saying here, as that minute counted down, I could feel the blood drain out of my body as I realized I was about to go live on LinkedIn. So I've never done it before. So automatically, hats off to Luke Quilter. But without further ado, let's get on with some Content as Unusual. Typical. That just didn't work at all, did it? Okay, cool. We're going to pretend that did work. We'll just pretend we had some credits rolled and I just replaced all of Luke's face with mine. Let's pretend that happened. It didn't, so we're going to carry on. So first of all, I just wanted to kind of show to you that Luke is on holiday. He's not just pulling a Swifty one. So I just want to cut. We've got a live feed from the normal Business as Unusual show. Let's just have a look. As you can see, Luke isn't available. He is on holiday. And by the looks of his LinkedIn, he's been working out. So if you haven't seen, check out Luke Quilter's LinkedIn, and he's just achieved his yellow, I can't remember what it was in, but it was some kind of kung fu or awesomeness. So anyway, welcome to the show. I'm going to get straight into things because I don't have the same technology or some of the same format as Luke. So you've got my pretty face for the rest of the day. I'm going to introduce our guest, and I'm going to pull him up on screen now. For those of you that don't know Chris, say hello, give us a wave, Chris. Chris is fairly well known across LinkedIn. I don't want to use the word influence. We've just been talking about the word influence and what it means and the word guru, but LinkedIn content especially is your focus. Do you want to give us a bit of an intro to yourself, Chris, and see to Branch?
Yeah, cheers, Danny. By the way, I got my microphone working. Does it sound better?
It sounds much better. We had a bit of a last minute. How do I get my fancy mic to work?
And it gave me the settings just as I was joining, so perfect.
There we go.
Timing.
Perfect.
So yeah, thank you very much for such a kind introduction. We're specifically doing LinkedIn native content for B2B brands all around the world. We're working with international clients at the moment. It's been an amazing growth structure for the last 6 months, where I've seen other agencies been going, into struggle mode. We've been going into hyperdrive mode. So it's a very interesting time to be making content on LinkedIn. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to focus specifically on that and we're going to probably get into this later, but without focusing on any other social media presence for our clients, we're able to achieve like ROI positive campaigns just from doing LinkedIn organic. We don't even run paid ads or anything. It's just organic campaigns.
Look at that. I mean, paid's obviously massive. I'm never going to discount paid coming from the agency we come from, of course, but organic is really impressive, isn't it? When you can achieve it organically, it's like SEO, comparing SEO and PPC. If you can achieve something organically, it's almost more satisfying in a funny kind of way. So
yeah, exactly. It's like legacy building too, like that's the thing where a lot of these guys want is like to make a wave in this time specifically. And although we can run PPC ads in tandem, and we will do eventually, like just to make a wave for them is the organic wave. Yeah,
totally. I'm just gonna show some of your content on screen. I'm gonna take us down there. So if you haven't seen Chris, I mean, I'm not in a position to talk about your content, Chris. You go for it. You explain kind of what you do.
Yeah, sure. So this is a specific format that we've made. We created it as a hashtag 5 into 1. Essentially what it's doing is it's using 5 tiles to align over a storytelling. We've done all sorts of them now. Like we've done brand storylines, we've done new products, we've done new services. But yeah, you're right. So these are specifically GIFs that are all synchronized, animated, bespokely built. And they continue behind like the 5 that you can see there to see 8 in total. And this increases the click-through rate, and the click-through rate increases the organic exposure to stuff like this. So we've tested a lot of different ones of this now. We're probably on about 20. And as far as I know, we're the only ones really making these types of things. Although I've seen a few like trying to they're trying to copy it, but it's like a 10-hour piece of work. Like it's like a website. It's like a wireframe stage and an animation stage and a storytelling stage and who's the buyer persona. There's a lot of work goes into something like that, but they feature in your in your profile, and they continue to animate, which is really eye-catching.
Yeah, totally. And it's how I came across you guys. And actually the first thing I did was send a link to our tech guy and go work out how they're doing this and how they're getting their alignment so perfectly, and then come back to me with an After Effects or Premiere file that's going to help me achieve it. And not to steal your intellectual property rights, we may have figured out a nice template to pull them off. But
well, if you open that top left-hand side GIF now and see how far the W is away from the actual edge, and then close it down again, so that you can see there's like half an inch on each side, which is really frustrating to be able to, especially get something like this. Yeah, it's.
I know, and that's what the challenge was. So I had a conversation with Chris. Let's just take that off the screen for a minute. I had a conversation with Chris earlier today where we were talking about what drives us, and I put a poll out on LinkedIn this morning around what elements of content marketing, or producing content, actually, not even content marketing, content gets people excited. So if you're on the chat, if you're on LinkedIn, please do join in the conversation. I can't see any of the chat because I'm concentrating on the buttons, and so I can't see the chat. I'm just hoping that we get some good conversation through, and I might even open up the link a little bit later on to invite other people in to talk about content or to share their work or whatever like that. So this is new for us. It's live, so we'll see how it goes. On that note, though, having looked at that and having studied where that W lines up and how that black and red moves into black and red, even though they're not actually, because most people would think it's 5 images cut up. Right. One image cut into 5, but it totally isn't that at all. No. They work individually, of course.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about format. So first thing I want to talk about is format and how important is format for the platform. And one thing I wanted to do to test that is just have a look at a different couple of formats we can use here live. So this is format number 1, and I'm going to ask you your preference, and we'll stick with it for the rest of the show. So this is format number 1, and this is format number 2. Now, I don't know how you feel. This format here, I prefer it, but I also feel like I'm invading your personal space.
I always like a wide angle lens when I come to my stuff. I specifically have a camera and phone that gives me this wide angle lens feature, so I always go for the wide angle lens stuff. I like the up close and personal sometimes, but really, really no preference.
I started questioning how I could use this join to some good content effects, and I thought actually what it's doing, what this line indicates to me is the internet. So like the only thing that separates us is the internet and the questions that come out of it. And I thought the more you decorate the set, the more you can do with it. But I do agree with you. I'm a big fan of this format. So should we stick with this?
Yeah, stick with this.
Yeah.
I also, considering how hot it is, I maybe look less sweaty on camera.
It's a very good point. I didn't turn off my fan. I was like, I'll turn off the fan before we start. But I didn't. So anyway, apologies for that. Let's get on to format then. How crucial is that to you? Because I know that's a massive part of what you do. So format per platform is kind of what I'm questioning. A lot of people throw out content, maybe render once and then execute across platforms. What's your thinking on that?
Well, very interesting. And I see a lot of wrong advice about this. A lot of people seem to think that there's certain content types that do better on LinkedIn. For example, video on personal profiles and like PDFs on business profiles. But that's not what I've come to conclude at all, really. I think the algorithm trains itself over time as to what your audience is liking the most. And so it continues to promote stuff that is doing well for you. So that could be any type. I've seen it work with text only. I've seen it work with pictures. I've seen it work with GIFs, with PDFs, with videos. I've seen every different type of LinkedIn content producer find their own format and niche and audience. But we tried to mix it up using that shotgun approach to see what resonates with people the most. Like in the first couple of months, we will purposely try to mix it up just to see what catches at what times, and do this like shotgun approach to the content. And then, yeah, really, it depends on what the content can be repurposed as. So like if, for example, we're doing it on Keynote, then we can export a LinkedIn PDF just the same as we can an Instagram carousel. And then it's just like repurposing the same piece of content in a very easy to do format and way.
That's that's a great thing, isn't it? Repurposing, like being able to get multiple benefits out of the same piece of content.
100%.
Not to the degree where you're kind of milking it and making it less valuable, but to the degree where, you know, it suddenly sits with a new audience, with a new purpose and motivation. But, you know, it's the same effort. And, you know, I don't want to talk about us because you produce some absolutely awesome content, but that's one of our key strategies, is to have
great
top level content, which we then break down and use in many different ways. We had a quick call earlier and we started chatting content, which made me think this would actually go quite well today. But I have got some questions I want to throw to you, considering we're nearly halfway through the show already. Right. I know. So I just want to throw out some questions to you. And those of you that know the show, know we do a quiz and we have all those kind of elements. I haven't got that today because this was very last minute. Anyone that's on my LinkedIn will know this came about in 48 hours. And in that time frame, we've learned a whole new way of doing this show and platforms and stuff. So that's what I love in content. I'm going to go through some questions with you. Another thing to note, if I keep adjusting in height in my seat, I think the air in the seat has got really hot and it's just dropping me every so often. So I've got some questions for you. First question, Chris Branch from Cedar Branch, is what is it about content? Why are you so interested in it?
I feel like it's the best way to open a conversation with a prospect. And I come from a business development land before I came into marketing. And I always felt that the two never married up together very well. So you hear it banded around a lot, but 7 to 10 digital touch points before someone comes in as an inbound lead. I just took that to heart, really, and just thought, well, how can I get 7 to 10 pieces in front of the people that I want to be working with, and then reverse engineered it from there. So, I mean, the content, I'm fortunate that I really, really enjoy it. You know, like I just enjoy curating it, creating it, doing anything with it, discovering new people, finding new platforms to find new content, even socially listening to find out the best performing content, like all sorts. Yeah, there's just so many. But that's why content is just everything that permeates like marketing, good marketing.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. And yeah, I think it's the same. I think my background from, you know, because obviously we produce quite a bit of content and I kind of head up that team, but it's the love of doing it. It's the love of making something from scratch. I think my background in fine art and painting and stuff led me to a point where I like creating something out of nothing. And then the kind of marketer grew in me over time that made that something have a purpose and an objective. And then and then a teacher in the psychology of what visuals do to a human. So, you know, we had a quick conversation off call, but your graphics, for example, your posts, your 5-in-1, they're not graphics, so much more than that, but your 5-in-1, I mean, they're GIFs and they sit on a platform. But if you talk to a business about GIFs, they look at you like you're stupid in a funny kind of way. Like, that's not important to me. But on a platform like LinkedIn, where videos don't start with a still or a thumbnail, they don't necessarily auto play for everybody. GIFs auto roll, don't they, on LinkedIn? So
exactly, yeah. And also videos start on mute. This is a big thing that I'm noticing, is that lots of people are in the office. So unless you've got like transcribed videos where you've got text underneath and stuff, many people will not see or hear this because they are. Yeah, so there are many disadvantages to native video, but like, you know, GIFs could also have a big upgrade too. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I mean, we're a massive believer in it. So I keep kind of, I think my stream's fairly weird, but yeah, we're massive believers in GIFs, and we might come on to that in a bit. if there's some time to chat GIFs, but I was just filming a Giant Wednesday video about GIFs and the way you use them on a business page, because obviously they're more accessible to business pages, aren't they, than personal accounts on LinkedIn now.
Yeah.
They're totally awesome. Okay, so it's everything about content that you like.
Yeah, it's just, it's the whole process, really. It's like understanding what it's for, how to get it, where, how to make it. Like, it's just everything about it. I really enjoy it.
Sure. I think that's a good enough answer. I like deconstructing other people's content and reverse engineering it and seeing how we can kind of use it or step up on it, like across all platforms. Really, I don't get as much time to do it as I used to when I was purely just in kind of content and brand. That was one of my focuses. Now I don't get the time, so I love looking at your content, and I love posing the challenge to my team to look at the accuracy of it. We're not there. We're not 100% there yet. We're not foolproof. We'd never offer it as a service.
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to my business partner, Paul, who's the real creative behind these 5-into-1s as well. Like, I help with some of the ideas, but really he's the genius creative. I'm the curator behind a lot of our posts. Okay. So he's the custom-made creative.
Nice. It helps, doesn't it, having a team of people that know what they're doing. Yeah, totally. Okay, next question then. We've rattled through some. So what's going on now, Chris, in terms of content? Like, what you're noticing, what are the trends, what should people be doing, not doing? Like, what's going on?
There's lots going on. LinkedIn Stories is about to roll out, and I don't know how that's going to play out. It looks like a really interesting new beta function in Brazil currently. I think they rolled it out at. And then my only issue with the next gen formats on LinkedIn is that they need to fix some of the currently broken system. Like, I think they're going to play like catch up to the likes of Instagram and Facebook before they, they're trying to run before they can walk in many senses. Because like you said, these 5-into-1s, they can really take a lot of optimization to get to where they need to, and it should be so much easier for people to have that type of content before stories come. But stories will be huge. It will be a game changer, I believe, and we'll see a lot more people migrate their efforts over from the likes of Instagram when they realize how much organic traffic there is to be had through LinkedIn Stories, because Instagram Stories there's millions that you're competing with, aren't there? And LinkedIn Stories will be starting from zero.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we use multi-channel. So Instagram Stories forms part of our strategy for distribution of other pieces of content. And you're right, you don't get the audience because you're competing with hundreds and hundreds and thousands of content makers that are creative. And that's cool. That's cool. But when you're like a search and social media agency, like, that isn't your platform necessarily. But running that content across LinkedIn, it's something we're quite excited about. And I'm also really excited about portrait, because to me, portrait video is how video should be.
I agree.
Because of the things we hold in our hand are portrait, therefore the way we view them should be portrait. But obviously landscape is so traditional, like from cinema and film and theatre, even stages, like they're rectangular in proportion. So I'm excited about anything that pushes portrait as a format, because I think you can get more creative with portrait video.
I totally agree. And it shows a shift in LinkedIn, because I've been on LinkedIn, close to a decade now, and it used to be dominated by desktop traffic, but now mobile traffic is well over like 60-70% sometimes. Like, it depends on certain networks, but yeah, you're right. So of course, optimize for mobile if the main traffic source is mobile. Yeah,
totally. It kind of makes sense. And when LinkedIn update their feed interface to actually welcome it instead of kind of bullying it out of the frame, which it kind of does at the moment, it feels archaic to watch it on LinkedIn currently.
Definitely.
But once it's optimized, we're looking forward to stories completely. We're one of the few businesses that maintained an IGTV channel, and all of our content goes distributed across that. Like, it gets re-rendered in portrait, all thumbnails are done in portrait, and it sits in IGTV. And there isn't a lot of value sitting in that channel, but I'm hoping at some point, one day, it will provide a bit more value having a portrait platform.
Oh, definitely. You're going to be, as with all this technology, if you're an early adopter on a different platform, then you've got this good to go. You can hit an on switch and then, just start going. And they're the people that do exceptionally well on TikTok. The ones that are already on this, like, Byte video or Vine or whatever the videos, they were already ready for the explosion.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that's what a lot of businesses, or not businesses, just kind of individual content makers, like, it's about spreading that risk somewhat, isn't it, in content types, in audience sites, but also in platform as well. So I know you focus heavily on LinkedIn, but and LinkedIn for obviously lead gen purposes and B2B stuff is probably the best platform to be on. It's probably the only platform to really be on.
That's the problem with B2B mainly, is that it's one of you can do retargeting via Facebook, but like finding through Facebook is just not,
but at the moment the advertising costs on LinkedIn as well are so expensive, aren't they? They're like one of the most expensive cost per click platforms out there, although great returns on it. Okay, I'm gonna just move on to another question. I mean, what's going on is a silly question, Danny. I don't think we could answer it. Let's have a look at what annoys you, Chris. So what do you see online in terms of content or on LinkedIn in particular that annoys you?
Oh, here we go. The gates are open.
Yeah, I will state that whatever you're about to say are not the views of Sleeping Giant Media and do not represent what we stand for.
I'll list a few things really quickly. This should be on Facebook. The most annoying comment that LinkedIn can have, because it's just not understanding, that we're trying to do something different, not trying to be selling to people all the time, not trying to shove things in people's faces. I feel like that's one of the most irritating things.
Do you get that a lot? Do you get that a lot, Chris?
I do. I used to. It's gone away now because actually the of people are positive drown out the fact that that's going on still. So it's like the 1 in 50 now, where it used to be the 1 in 10.
Yeah, totally
which
agree.
is kind of crazy. Yeah,
I sometimes like it in like a meme culture. I almost want to say this isn't Facebook, but in the complete switch of like, it's okay for you to post that. I'm just now mocking the fact that we used to complain that this wasn't a thing, but I don't think we're there yet. I don't think I can hit that button yet.
No, it's so true. The other things that annoy me are just mindless posts, like double click this to see a bigger image, and it's just liking. And then people are trying to gather likes, and they don't even know how to use that data in the first place. And someone will go viral with like 300 connections and they'll have 200,000 likes on a post. And you're like, how and why and who's the 200,000 idiots on LinkedIn, basically, That's the way I see it. It's just like, you've got to be either new to LinkedIn or a bit of an idiot to have fallen for something like that. But
I think you're right there. I think there's a lot of new people on LinkedIn, especially now in the kind of COVID. I mean, we've not even touched on the world that's happening around us, and maybe we shouldn't, but there's a lot of that now. Obviously, new accounts on LinkedIn, lots of new content makers. I realise we're like 7 minutes away from the end of this show, so I'm going to cut you short on what annoys you, because I don't know if we're going to have time to dial people in. What is the chat? What's happening on chat? I'm going to have a look at chat, see what's going on. Is there anyone in chat that would like to join the show and talk content with me and Chris? If there is, make yourself be known.
I've been seeing lots of good comments coming in, but they disappear.
There's lots, aren't there?
They disappear. Do you get to continue seeing like a feed of them?
Yeah, they sit on the LinkedIn. If they're from LinkedIn, they're sit on the LinkedIn post. But I've got a feed here in a separate window. It just takes me away from all my fancy scenes and stuff. Yeah, Amber's just posted the link, or so you can join me to have in there. So if you want to click on that link, it will bring you into this feed. You'll sit in a little queuing system, and I pull you into the show, and you can have a quick talk. I think the next question, if I pull up the next question, and then if somebody joins us, it'll be a good subject for them to join us with. Biggest mistake that people make. I put people, but that can be businesses, because I think there's another conversation here around business profiles, personal profiles, who wins in a fight. But yeah, you go for it. Biggest mistake people make. So
I'll give you two. Underestimating the company profile, which I've come to learn can be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than a personal profile. You just got to use it right. And the second thing is listening to generalized advice, which is totally wrong. So the thing I see a lot on LinkedIn is like, Tuesday between 9 and 11 a.m. is peak traffic and the best time to post. And it's like, well, that's not according to your network. If you're trying to target CEOs who are always in a meeting on Tuesday between 9 and 11, then there's no way that you're ever going to reach these people. So don't take like generalized stats about social media and think that this is, the holy grail of what I should be doing, and think that you're all clever and sharing it with everybody else when you're giving out bad advice. Like, it literally is not true in any way, shape or form that that's the right time for you to be posting on LinkedIn. It just maybe is the peak traffic on LinkedIn, which are you after peak traffic type of people? Well, if that's the case, then, by all means go for it. But I've come to find that it's very untrue, actually. Like, that time is one of the worst times to post for me, although it's the thing I hear bandied about the most as the LinkedIn top tip and stuff.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. And it's about knowing your own numbers, isn't it? It's about being close enough to what you're doing. Like, if you're scheduling everything and not necessarily looking at what's going on, or not being present when your content is floated, because keeping an eye on it is a really good way of doing it. If you post content, you look around at other people that have posted content, you can see, oh, we've got people that might be joining in. Student Forbes might be joining in. He jumped out. He jumped out. He had a QR code. He had a QR code that was probably spam and probably malicious, and then he decided not to share his screen and dropped out again. So Masoodin, if you want to come back, you're welcome. But I'm on to you. I've got a little screening window at the bottom here. Biggest mistake. Hey, let's talk about that then. Personal brand. He's going to invite him back in. Let's invite Masoodin in. Do you want to chat with us, Masoodin? Hi, Masoodin.
Can you hear us?
I don't know if he can hear us. We'll leave him there because actually just watching him look around for the sound controls might be just as entertaining. Yes, that's okay. Let's go back to the question. It was biggest mistake. What was that, Masoodin's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? That's not how he looks in his work meetings. But anyway, biggest mistake people make. I just want to talk about that thing you pointed out then about personal brand and professional brand. So I think both work. He's come back in again. Both work. If you can answer that question for me, I'm going to see if we can get Masoodin in to join us as well.
Yeah, both definitely work. You just need to know basically how to use a business profile differently to a personal profile. The strategies work very, very different. Again, just like, most things on LinkedIn, there's no go-to.
Hey, Masoodin, welcome. This is Chris. Masoodin is our client service director at Slingshot Media. Have you got a view, Masoodin, on personal profiles and business profiles?
I think he can't hear us, or
it's like he's done this just to torment me. He's gone, how can I make Danny look worse on live stream? That's it. You're booted. You're blacklisted, Masoodin. Don't come back. Cool. Hey, okay, that's fine. We'll move on. Yeah. The point you had there, where they both exist in autonomy, don't they? They both exist together. It isn't one or the other, because one can't survive without the other.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a frustrating thing about a business profile, is that you cannot target and talk to prospects directly from your business profile. So there will always be some element of personal profiles doing follow-ups. And I mean, the call to action of a business profile is really to get you to go onto a link and then to fill out a contact us form on the website. But there'll be a lot of people that don't make that jump. So that it's down to personal profiles to understand who the likers are, who's engaging, follow up with, if they're interesting buyer personas. Like, it's just, most people miss out that step, as you rightly said. They think they publish and then they think, okay, that's done, me done. Whereas actually 45 minutes afterwards, you should be encouraging the algorithm, re-commenting on comments, including threads, liking. I think a lot of people get it the wrong end of the stick with that.
Let's just on that note then, because I know you study quite closely kind of what works, what doesn't work. Like, if you had to give someone 2 tips for their business profile, that they could go away and do now, that would, give them, ultimately we want followers because followers give us reach, don't we? Like, they're not vanity metrics, because actually it's driving an audience in the same way that SEO drives us an audience. It's so actually followers is important. So what 2 pieces of advice could you do to help a business up their followers?
I would go to 25 different ideal buyer personas, personal profiles, and I would look at their all activities and see the type of content that they're already engaging with. And then I would start making just generalized notes in something like Evernote, which is like a Google Chrome plugin, and just say, okay, so Phil, he has, liked 6 different links to articles. He's liked a PDF. He's liked an image. He's liked a video. What was the content of the video? It was this type. And then you're starting to build like an idealized, well, I know if I build something quite similar to this, in SEO, they call it the skyscraper technique, don't they? Basically, it's building something slightly better than what they've already engaged with, that will be something that they'd be interested in. So it's kind of a no.
That's great advice, isn't it? Yeah. That's great advice. Like, a lot of people, I think, fumble around in the dark, not knowing to where to start with their own content, but actually look at the people that are A, leading in your industry, and B, are ideal customers of yours, and see what they're doing. So that works personal brand and business brand, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the other thing about that, the second thing I'd say about that is that you get like all activity, documents, images, and another format, videos. So you can actually split it organically, naturally from someone's personal profile, and then take out all of the PDFs like idealized. So yeah, you're it's kind of a no guess situation. If you're amassing 50 different people's, I mean, ideally you'd want to do it with 100 buyer personas, and then average out all of the data to see what is like the medium content to create.
Which is doable, isn't it? Actually, 100 personas on LinkedIn is entirely doable if you set your mind to it and plan it out and have a nice Excel spreadsheet to dump that data into. Like,
definitely,
it's actually quite doable. It sounds extreme, but it isn't. Masood's still waiting to join the chat, and I'm reluctant to let him have the last 30 seconds of my first ever live performance after letting me down so massively. I can see him smirk. Oh, okay, hang on. I will, because I know his microphone is sorted. Masood, you've got 30 seconds at the end. Hello, welcome.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Brilliant. Hello, by the way, quick intro. I'm a Client Services Director at Sleeping Giant Media. So for me, it's all about service delivery and client outputs. So the question I had is actually, what is the number one metric that you report on to your clients with this type of work? What gets them really excited?
Very good question. MQLs, I would say, because of the way that we do our we essentially do creative, then marketing, then business development, up to the point where it's a marketing qualified lead, and then they're inheriting that and sales qualifying it themselves because they're the expert and we couldn't talk on their behalf. So we're able to manage a lot of the pipeline for them, and then even afterwards, once we sales qualify it, we can then like create a prospecting deck and then actually help them pitch and do stuff. Really, we only have to hand it over to them for a very brief period of time, and it's about how many marketing qualified leads we can actually deliver to them on a monthly basis. So we try and get ROI from month one, based on the fact that like every LinkedIn personal profile is limited to around 2,000 connection request opportunities sent a month. We get them around 50% from the first month. So this is 1,000 business opportunities potentially. And then after we like qualify them down into idealized marketing qualified leads, that's usually around 200 to 300. And then they'll go through the process and pipeline. And however many of those they close out, usually it's ROI savvy in month one.
Okay. And is that,
just quickly, Masood, just quickly before you ask this question, like we are well over time, and I don't care. I don't care. I don't care because I don't care. So if you want to keep watching, you keep watching. And if Chris, you're okay to go on for a couple.
I'm
more
more
minutes,
than happy.
We'll just keep talking.
It's just really interesting because it does help kind of really bring this to life, and that's why I'm really interested. So it's the number of qualified leads, and when you do this, does it scale up over time, or do you find it's like a sweet spot for the buzz that you create?
It definitely scales up over time. In fact, actually, we do a snapshot of someone's LinkedIn SSI score. So their social selling index is very runs in parallel to how many opportunities they'll get. So if, for example, we start with someone that's only got like 44 out of 99 possibilities, just like you would do like an Ahrefs SEO crawl or something like that, right? Then you're sort of giving the URL like this is how many opportunities you're going to get based on the marketing. So we try and bump it up over time before we start producing the major content. And month one, we usually we can warm it up from 45 out of 99 to about 75. So the ideal sort of place, I would guess, is 80 out of 99. You'd really want that to get the maximum exposure on LinkedIn through a personal profile or a company profile, and then it's like push harder and harder. So we do 3 and 6 months packages, just like an SEO sort of campaign would work. It takes a little time to roll out, but we find, luckily, and we are relatively new, that every single client that we've had so far has had ROI savvy campaigns in month one, which we didn't expect, to be honest. We expected it to be more like a content marketing SEO strategy where you'd see sort of results down the line. Whereas this, because we're doing active connection buildings and lots of opportunities, enough stumble through in the first month to always make it wherever they pay us, they're seeing return on.
That sounds brilliant.
That sounds awesome. That was like two clever people talking about something much more than content. So thank you, Masood, for the question.
I appreciate the time, and I'll definitely let you have the last word, Danny. So
thank you, man.
Not let
that's my preference. Okay, Masood.
Right.
Okay, cheers. All right, Masood has gone. Excellent. That was awesome. No, you're not at all. And like I say, we've overran, and that's not a problem because it's live content. And if people want to stick around, they can. If they don't, they've already gone home, then that's fine. I'm just going to jump into chat. I haven't been looking at it, but I can see shout outs to kind of Joni and Max is in the chat, and most of the giants I'm going to imagine have joined the chat. I told them, so to give you some context, we have a stand up in the morning, and normally we're trying to kind of promote the show and get some of our giants to join the show as it joins. Today, I wasn't so willing to let everybody come and join the show. I was like, you don't have to watch it. Don't worry about it. And I believe the reverse psychology has just done me in, and I've got a lot of colleagues in the chat. But I appreciate your support, everyone, and thank you for all the comments in there. Even my daughter's in the chat. Hi, Bo, if you're watching me.
Aww.
Somewhere, which isn't here. So yeah, excellent. Thank you, Chris, for your time. I could do this again for a lot longer.
I would love
talk about more things. So I wonder actually if you're watching this either live or post live, because it will sit on LinkedIn and YouTube, you just let us know if you'd be up for watching this again. Yeah, and either me or Chris. Like, I kind of like the idea of co-hosting something here where we speak to other content makers. If you'd be interested in something like that, yeah, it would be fun. So let us know in the chat, in the comments. And if enough people are up for it, we'll definitely find some time to put something together for sure. Thank you, Chris. It was a real pleasure meeting you. Like I say, I was drawn to your content instantly. And then the minute I thought about doing this show, I knew I wanted to talk to you. So thank you very much. Okay, that's it. That's the first Content as Unusual show. I didn't say all the things I was meant to. Follow us, click the links, comment below. I'm sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed the chat with Chris. Let us know if you want us to do any more of these kind of shows or any other types of content. And hopefully, Luke Course will be back next week to deliver Business as Unusual properly. So from all of us here, thank you and good night.